What's going on, everyone? Only Sports back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Atlantic Division standing predictions that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing this now. I was going to do it, maybe in a week or so, but I figured just to get it over with. I've watched a couple of the preseason games and kind of got a feel of the best players on certain teams and how they're going to gel and flow. But it's preseason, so you're not seeing the best and the hardest of each player, but you get a general idea. So I thought to do these standing predictions, and I'm looking forward to doing this. But before I start the video, I just want to let everyone know I really appreciate all the new subscribers, all the support you guys have been showing on the channel, and I'm really looking forward to see the growth of this channel continue to develop. So please, if you haven't already done so, please hit that thumbs up button, like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. But let's get right into the video. So guys, coming in at number 8, I've got the Montreal Canadiens. But this is a sneaky team. I think this could be a really good division this year. And I actually think that it's going to be the best in all of hockey this season. I think Montreal's at 8, but they have a solid team, and we don't know what the state of Carey Price is, and the goalie is really the major concern and question of that team. But if Price gets back, they could make a push for the playoffs at some point this season. We just don't know, and we can't count on Carey Price coming back. But as for the roster, it's not bad. I mean, they have some, good forward core, Kirby Dach, of course, Evgeny Dadonov, Jonathan Drouin, Cole Caulfield, Joel Armia, Josh Anderson, Jake Evans. They still got Brendan Gallagher, Mike Hoffman, Sean Monahan. It's a solid core. Of course, Nick Suzuki, the captain there, the newly named captain. They have Yuri Slafkovsky, the first overall pick from this past season, who's a good power forward. It's going to be interesting to see how they play. And then on the back end, there are some more question marks. Of course, but they still have David Savard, Mike Matheson. They got from Pittsburgh in the Jeff Petrie trade. So they still have a couple of good names. Caden Gooley, I don't know if he'll play. Joel Edmondson, Madison Bowie. There are some question marks, though, at the defenseman spot. Like I said, Chris Weidman's still a good, solid guy, but I just see Montreal. I think this division is going to be close. I think the teams are all going to be, I think the first place to 8th place, I think, is going to just be like 20 points apart. Usually it's like 40 points apart or 30 or 40 points apart. I think this year it's going to be 20, a 20-point difference. So it's going to be pretty tight in there with all 8 teams, but I got Montreal at number 8. At number 7, I got the Buffalo Sabres. This is a team that, they really didn't take many steps up, but last year they were a bit of a surprise. They were better than people expected them to be. I just can't, really put Buffalo ahead of some of these teams like Boston and, the Red Wings and, Ottawa. They're just better teams. But Buffalo, they got a decent team. Their goaltending, Craig Anderson, Malcolm Subban, they can win you a few games. They have, a young core. You're going to see a lot more of Owen Power this year. So I think Buffalo's still a couple of years away, but they have some good pieces that'll, keep them a competitive team this year. But I got Buffalo at number 7. At number 6, I am going to have the Detroit Red Wings. They're a good team. I think they're a solid team. They got, much better this offseason. Just a year of growth for the young guys is enough to, give them a bit of a, improved team. But the biggest improvement, I think, is in goal. I mean, they got really, really good in net between the pipes. They had Nedeljkovic last year. Now he's going to be their backup, and he's a solid player. He's a decent starter. But now they have Ville Husso, who came over from the St. Louis Blues. He was terrific last year. His record was pretty good. He played in some solid games. He played in the playoffs for St. Louis, but I think he could be a solid piece back there in the net. He had a 25-7-6 record last year. They have some really solid players. Tyler Bertuzzi, Andrew Kopp, they added So they're a solid team, and I'm excited to see how the Red Wings play this year. But I got them at 6, just missing the playoffs. At number 5, I got the Boston Bruins, and this might be a surprise, but I have the Boston Bruins missing the playoffs. I think there's going to be one team from the Atlantic and one team from the Metro Division that make the playoffs. I think Boston misses it. They have some injuries going into the year, and that's going to be a concern. They're going to get out of the gates pretty slow, and I think that's going to take a big hit on them. In goal, they have a couple decent guys, but there's still question marks with Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman. There's no definitive number one there. Patrice Bergeron's really good, but this is an aging Boston team. Krejci's back, but we don't know what exactly this team is going to be. They're getting older. They got older. Their defenseman situation is still, it's a bit of a question mark after Hampus Lindholm, Charlie McAvoy, and Brandon Carlo. After those 3 guys, there's quite a bit of question marks. Matt Grzelcyk's solid, but they're lacking that defenseman depth. I still think they're going to be a really good team, and by saying, when I say they missed the playoffs, I think they missed by like a point or 2. It's going to go right down to the end of the year, but I got Boston at 5. And jumping ahead of them at number 4 is the new look Ottawa Senators. That's right, I got the Senators making the playoffs as the number 4 seed in the Atlantic Division, and they're going to make that Eastern Conference wild card. The Senators are going to be good this year. They're really well coached by DJ Smith. I think he's a really good coach, a solid coach, especially for this core. Cam Talbot in net's going to be solid. Drake Batherson's growing. They got DeBrincat. They got Giroux. They got some really good players. They extended Norris. He's going to be solid again. Stützle, Tkachuk, the captain. Shabbat on that back end. They have a good team. Brandstrom back there is going to be good. They got Travis Hamonic, who's, he's not a scrub. He's a good player. Jacob Larson's pretty good. Nikita Zaitsev, Arten Zub. Jake Sanderson, look out for him. He's a solid player. I think Ottawa's going to be good. And on the backs of Cam Talbot, I think he's going to be able to carry them into the playoffs. And I think that they're going to be, they're not going to really be able to make too much noise in the playoffs, but look out for them because they're a sneaky young, solid team with a couple of good veterans. So look out for the Senators. They're going to be a good up-and-coming team for, years to come. At number 3, I got the Florida Panthers. This is a new-look Panther team as well. Of course, they have Matthew Tkachuk now instead of Jonathan Huberdeau. They lost Mackenzie Weegar, so it's a really different Florida team. I think they lost that trade. I think Calgary definitely won that trade. They got a solid defenseman, really good points getter in Huberdeau, and they just got probably the best power forward in the league back. But I didn't think they needed to trade Mackenzie Weegar, but take a look at where Florida's at. They're still a really good team. They're a real good team. In net, no question marks. Bobrovsky, Spencer Knight, that's as good as it gets back there. It's just an expensive tandem, but at the end of the day, it is good. There's no question marks there. Alex Barkov, the captain, one of the better players in the league. Sam Bennett's a really good forward. Anthony Duclair, he is hurt right now, but he'll be back at some point. Patrick Hornquist's a good player. Ryan Lomberg. They have some good bottom 6 guys. Riley Nash. Sam Reinhart's a really good player. They got the Stahl brothers as well. Like I said, Matthew Tkachuk. They got Colin White, who's a decent player. They got him from, of course, Ottawa, as he was there last year. Carter Verhaeghe's really good. And then the defensemen are solid. Ekblad, Forsling, Gudis, Brandon Montour. They have some good guys there on that back end. So Florida at number 3. At number 2, give me the Tampa Bay Lightning. Of course, the Lightning are one of the better teams in hockey. On the backs of Andrei Vasilevsky, they have some really good players. Victor Hedman on the back end. They have, of course, all those forwards. Braden Point, Steven Stamkos, Nikita Kucherov, Anthony Cirelli, Alex Killorn. They have a lot of good players there over in Tampa Bay. Not much really needs to be said. I think Tampa's going to be fighting with the Leafs for that number 1 spot. And I think that, I think the President's Trophy winner is in the Atlantic Division. I think it's going to be a dog battle all the way to the end for that number 1 spot. Tampa's a really good team. They're solid, but I think the Leafs just edged them. Not much needs to be said about the Tampa Bay Lightning. One of the better teams in hockey. They made it to the Stanley Cup Finals 3 years in a row. They won 2 of them. So give me the Panthers at 2 and then the Leafs at 1. I think the Leafs are, undefiably a solid team. No question marks. looking at the Leafs, there's just one question mark I have with them, and I think that's going to be resolved, and I think it's not as big as people make it seem. The goaltending, but they have Matt Murray, guy won a couple cups. If he can get back to nearly what he was before, the Leafs are fine. They have Samsonov back there. The defense has improved, so I think the Leafs are fine. That forward core we don't need to talk about. Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander, Bunting, Kerfoot. Solid top six. They added Yarncroc back there in the bottom six to go with Kampf. Some of those other guys, I think the Leafs are going to win the President's Trophy. I think they're just fine. I think they're going to finish that number one spot in the Atlantic Division. I think it's a pretty tight list, but this is just the way I see it playing out. But guys, that is all I got in this video. You guys let me know down in the comments your thoughts on my Atlantic Division standing predictions. Let me know your thoughts. What would you change? What would you keep? Let me know all that good stuff down in the comment section. As always, please leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. See you guys all in the next video. Go Leafs, go.